Remember when you were a little kid, maybe your parents or your grandparents or a librarian or a teacher would read you a story. One not unlike this story here called Olivia and the Haunted Hotel. Here you can see the Olivia is obviously a pig and there's a haunted hotel there. They would set you down and they'd read the words. They'd say, "Look at all that rain," exclaimed Olivia. "Thunder and lightning, too. I love spooky weather." And then what would they do next? They'd turn the book towards you and they'd let you see the picture. And they'd say, "See the rain, the lightning? Can you hear the thunder? Look how excited Olivia is." Were they reading? Yeah, they were reading. But they were doing more than reading when they told you a story. They were being storytellers. They were giving you the opportunity to hear the words and to formulate a picture in your own mind, in your mind's eye, as we might say. And then they were turning the image to you and saying, "Look for yourself." That's the art of storytelling. I want to thank you for the time that you're taking to watch this video. And my hope is that by talking about this together, we'll all become better storytellers so that the people that we are called to read to will be more than just read to. They'll have heard the story and walked away with a mental picture of what they just heard. You know, why is it that we read in church? Why is it that we read scripture from the pulpit and from the lectern? Well, it's not just for the sake of reading. We all know that. It's for the sake of growing, helping the people who hear and the people who read grow in their understanding of what Scripture says, what God has to say to us through Scripture. And so the way that we read it is critically important because the message is critically important, and we want to make sure it gets through. So, what are some of the key things that we can focus on? Well, we can focus on speed, but that's not really the issue. How fast we read doesn't really matter. What really matters is how fast people hear. Let me say that again. How fast we read doesn't really matter. What really matters is how fast people hear. If we give people more words than they have time to process, then they just wind up dropping that data on the floor. But if we spoon feed them at a rate that they can take in and process, then we've accomplished our task, which is to communicate the story. So how can we do that? Well, we can do it the same way our parents and our grandparents and our teachers and our librarians did back in the day. We can show our listeners a picture. Now, not literally, but the way that we present them the words can allow them to paint the picture themselves in their own mind's eye. Now, how can we do that? Well, one of the things we can do is not practice. You might be saying, well, that's counterintuitive. Well, not necessarily. The reason I say don't practice is because if we practice reading, then we'll read as though we practiced. I think the better thing to do is to practice telling the story and allow the imagery to take shape in your own mind's eye. Give yourself the time to see the pictures take shape. And if you have time for that, then so will your audience. By now, you've gotten the point that I wanted to make. And that is to embrace the fact that you're more than just readers. You're storytellers. So embrace your role and allow yourself to take the time to be the great storyteller that you had in your childhood. Take the time to paint the pictures in the minds and the hearts of your listeners so that they don't just hear you read, but they receive the story and thereby can make it their own. I hope you found this helpful. I'm thankful for each and every one of you who watches this and shares your gifts in reading. And I thank God for the way that God will continue to perfect all of us in our ability to make disciples in whatever way we do it, especially in this area of reading. All right. God bless. Be well. And do I sound like Bob Ross when I make these videos? I think I do. If you don't know who that is, look it up. Talk to you later. Bye.